Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Inside Wayzata podcast. I'm Zach Nelson. I'm the host. They couldn't find anyone else to do it, so here we are. Have some very special guests with us today. We are talking about what it means to be a kindergartner, incoming kindergarten families, and we have Ashley Farrington, principal at Birchview Elementary. We have Megan Trudell, who is a teacher at Birchview Elementary, and we have Jesse Sorensen, who is a parent of second and third graders at Birchview. So thank you all for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we're excited. Again, first episode, so these are the guinea pigs for us. We'll see how it goes, but we'll do some introductions. We'll start with Ashley. Ashley, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, like Zach mentioned, I'm Ashley Farrington. I'm the proud principal at Birchview Elementary, and this is now my 6th year. But it's also my 15th year in the district. And so I've been a teacher, I've been a dean of students, I've been an associate principal at Central Middle School, and now I've found my home at Birchview as the principal, and super excited about this upcoming school year.
I'm Megan Trudell. I teach kindergarten at Birchview Elementary. This is my 8th year in the district, my 9th year teaching. I've taught both third grade and kindergarten at Birchview, and I'll never leave.
Yes.
Good. I'm Jesse Sorensen. As Zach said, I've got a second grader, and incoming second grader and incoming third grader at Birchview, and I'm also really involved in the PTA there. So I'll get to work with these guys all the time.
We love
Lucky
Jesse.
us.
So today we're going to talk about kindergarten, and I have a 4-year-old at home, and the thought of starting kindergarten, which is over a year from now for us, is super intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think would be helpful is for us to talk about what it means to start kindergarten from all of your perspectives for families that are going to begin this journey in a little over a month. It's hard to believe depending on when this airs, a little over a month from the start of the school year. So I'm going to start with Jesse. Bring me back to that first day of school, dropping your oldest off at Birchview. What were the emotions that first day?
Oh, man. Well, first it was relief because he took the bus. And so, the very first thing is, if they're getting on the bus, hope they get on the bus, so when they drove away, I thought, I maybe thought I'd have that wave of emotions, and you see mom's crying at the bus stop or whatever. But honestly, I was just really relieved because he got on the bus and he seemed really happy. And so, I think part of that was I was thinking about coming into this conversation. Part of it is when I think about that transition and really anything with your kids is trying to sort of mentally separate how you're feeling about something versus how they might be feeling about it. And for me, that was such a funny moment where I thought I would be so emotional, but really he was happy. And then I realized that made me really relieved instead of overly emotional. So
then on the other end, Ashley, as the principal, you're there on that first day and you got all these, 5-year-olds getting off the bus. They're all probably really wide-eyed and have no idea where to go. What is that like for you on the first day of school as the principal?
The first day of school is my favorite. I love it. It means we get to get back and be together as a community, get to know so many new kids and families. And for me, this year, I have an incoming kindergartner coming to Birchview as well. So I have this role as principal and I have this role as dad. And I get to experience that with her throughout the summer. And she's super excited. And similar to what Jesse said, it is relieving to see that excitement. And for me, while it's sad, my last baby is going to kindergarten, it's also she's excited and she's prepared. And as a parent, that's what we want. And my job is knowing that feeling as a parent, as a principal. How do we execute that, though? Because I think all parents want their kids to feel safe. All parents want their kids to have that excitement about learning in school. And so I see that with my daughter right now prior to school. So with my staff, we're thinking, how do we nurture that throughout the year so that they continue to have that excitement and learning? But to answer your question directly, though, it's just this pure excitement and joy. I'm working right now during the summer, and it's not fun without kids. And so when the kids show up, it becomes way better. And so we're really excited to welcome our new friends.
And then you, Megan, you have a whole classroom full of these kiddos that are just trying to figure out that first day of the whole thing. What is it like for you on that first day?
There's a range of emotions, right? There's the kids who are happy to be there. There's the kids who are missing mom, missing dad, missing grandma, missing grandpa. There are the kids who are feeling shy. There's the kids who are maybe feeling a little teary, and the range of emotions ebbs and flows throughout the day. And so just making them, like Ashley said, feel safe. And we try to get through like the little things that seem little, but like meeting them at the door and making sure we walk them to the classroom and talking through everything that we're doing that day. It makes them feel more prepared, like they can do this. And then seeing other kids go through the same thing is just exciting. It turns into a fun place to be and not a scary place to be. And all the adults that are around and present on that first day. And there's music. And Ashley, you pulled out a literal red carpet one year on the first day of school. So it's an exciting place to be, not a scary place.
I feel like anything, it's repetitions, right? The more you do it, like getting on the bus for the first time is probably really hard and intimidating. Going to class for the first time, all the firsts, right? That's probably what this is all about. Not only for the kiddos, but for you as staff, for you as parents. When you think about getting into a rhythm, is there anything that stood out to you as a parent, Jesse, for what helped as these parents of new incoming kindergartners thinking about how do we prepare for this? Is there anything that you can think of that helped get you prepared for the big transition?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is kind of goes back to that, like, how do you manage your stuff as a parent and, separate that or that allows you to be there for your kid. And logistically that applies. So I, just think about all the simple things, like figure out what your personal routine as a parent is going to be. What are you going to be doing with the backpacks and then lunches or water bottles or folders and all the stuff, right? And believe it or not, that sounds very obvious. We all get ourselves out the door every day, but adding in this going to school bit, there's a lot of odds and ends and everyone's going to be different. There isn't one right way to do it. So, I eventually learned that I'm not great in the morning. And I don't like that feeling of like, okay, getting the kids ready and then doing the backpacks and finding the shoes and whatever. That was making the whole thing feel really stressy. So I started doing all that stuff at night, but not everyone is like that. Right. So I think, taking some time to think through and, if you're a practicing type of person, practice in the summer, if not, just really be tuned into like what's going to work well so that the energy feels right. Because I think if your energy is off in the morning, if it feels like you had a stressful morning and the send-off didn't feel great, like no one feels good about that. So part of it is managing the energy around the logistics as much as the routine itself. The other thing I would say is for the kids, and especially thinking about the stuff that Megan just talked about, the logistics of welcoming them and helping them feel familiar and connected in school. That's true for parents too. So I would encourage parents to take every opportunity to connect and engage and go to school and talk to your principal and talk to your kid's teacher and respond to those emails and email them to say hello. And these are all like tiny little things. And they don't have to be things where you physically are showing up at school. But the more you feel connected and familiar with the school environment and the people and the adults there, then that demystifies it for you. So then your sort of worry level goes down and then your kids pick up on that, but also you have some answers to things that they might be curious about, or just helps you kind of help them navigate some of that. So bother the teachers and principals
we
and
want
staff.
that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
That partnership is super important. And just to piggyback on that, I think like it allows when we, the adults, know the information, then we can support our kids. And for us at school, the more information we can get will allow us to support kids in that transition even more. Right. And so that partnership is super important. So yes, bothering doesn't bother us. It's a good thing because I think that partnership will propel us into a really good year.
So when it comes to the emotion, the feelings that parents, guardians, families might be feeling now, and then up to that first day, there's probably a build up. Megan, from your perspective, what would you tell families in terms of, there's going to be a lot of feelings. How would you recommend they manage those?
What do you tell me?
When I have her in my classes here. I would say, I try to front load it. I try to be reassuring, right? Like we as teachers recognize that we have been given your greatest gift and they're sitting in front of us every day. But I think, like Jesse said, like that level of independence and like separating your child from you and giving them that gift of independence is the greatest gift you can give them, because in kindergarten, that confidence is going to grow, that independence is going to grow. So if you foster that at home and kind of let them spread their wings and fly a little bit, and separate your big feelings from maybe how they're feeling, then you can, let them grow the best they can. And the more excited they are about kindergarten and showing a love for school, they'll come to school with that same feeling. But it is hard for parents because I know that these are their babies, right? And they've been at home with them, or they've been, so I totally get it. I encourage them to let them go a little bit because they're going to flourish.
That actually makes me think of a phrase that I love, which I felt I totally experienced. But listening to you talk, Megan is just a wonderful kindergarten teacher, and we've seen Megan in action. So, but representative of all of the other teachers I've been exposed to and that I've seen, is that you can borrow confidence. Like parents borrow confidence from your teacher, from your kid's teacher and the staff at the school. You know your kid the best for sure, but they know the kindergartners inside and out. They know the nuances, the full range of the types of students. They are professionals at this. And I remember having, especially with our oldest, moments like that where I'm just borrowing the confidence of our wonderful teacher, because I thought, my little boy, like he told me he came home and like, I went to the library by myself to return my book. And all I can think of is my small little tiny child walking down the hallway alone. I'm like, they let you go to the library? And then and he was so excited about it, totally normal. And then I thought, well, this is awesome. That teacher is wonderful. And she sent him to go do that. Yep. She has confidence in him. She knows how he's doing, but she also has a spectrum of what these kids can do. And so I borrowed her confidence in that moment. I think it's a great concept.
Your kids are capable and they're ready for this.
We've talked a lot about the emotional side, the anxiety, some of the nerves that come with it. So Ashley, from your point of view, there's a lot of excitement for kiddos, for families as they start this journey. When you see that light bulb turn on for kids, like what does that look like to you when they are just start to thrive in that kindergarten environment?
I think it's super apparent when kids are excited about school, and I think that's one of the number one criteria we want to help nurture, because what makes kindergarten so special is they get to develop this foundation, an excitement for learning that will then stay with them for the next 13 years in their educational life or beyond that. And so for kindergarten, I think that's my favorite thing to do, everybody, is to go in the kindergarten lunchroom, because when you walk in there, there's just this joy of, we're so happy to be here and so happy to be with our friends and so happy to see you and the teachers and the parents. And so that excitement is just super apparent in how they're feeling. And then throughout the year, you see that continue to show up in their body, and that confidence. Like Jesse said, they're walking to the media center by themselves, or they can find the restroom by themselves, or they can go to the art room and figure out the nurse's office. And you're like, oh, you're becoming a little human. You know how to do this. You know how this world works. It's even exciting on the academic side when with my daughter now, she's picking up on all the words and letters and songs, and she's seeing what her brother doing, and she's seeing she can do that too. So you can see her perking up her shoulders a little bit too, like, I can read it too. I can read. And so that's always a joy for us as we see kids come in and we meet them where they're at. And our job is to help them get where their fullest potential will take them. And so it's just something within their body that you just see it starts to turn on. And as the year goes on, it just radiates even more.
Well, kids change so much at a young age too. Like day by day for us at home, it feels so different every day. In the classroom, I assume you see a ton of change in these kiddos in just a short amount of time.
Oh, totally. There's aha moments all day, every day, whether it's academically, like you said, and obviously those are very fun to see. Like they're learning so many foundational skills. I mean, they're learning to read in kindergarten. Obviously, there's a ton of growth there. But like you said, like social emotionally, like they are learning to take turns. They're learning to collaborate with one another. Like you said, they're becoming little humans where they're recognizing that they're not the only person in this world. And empathy is growing. And I think I can speak for Birchview, but I know all of the Wayzata schools do such a good job of that, of making sure that they're, whether it's Bobcat Pride or Coyotes or Cardinals or, these kids really take, especially in kindergarten, they grasp onto that. And I got an email this year, and the mom was saying that they were at the grocery store, and the little boy said, "Oh, I showed Bobcat Pride at the grocery store today." And I think that's an aha moment too. Like, we think about reading and math, and they can count to this number. They started blending words, and but they're growing into these little humans, and that recognize others and other people's feelings, and we want them to be fantastic members of society. And if they might not always call it Bobcat Pride, but they're showing Bobcat Pride at the grocery store. That's a great start.
Exactly.
As parents, we experience a lot of challenging moments, right? And I think that we've talked a lot about the exciting times and the learning, these aha moments. Challenging moments are obviously a big part of this. And I remember hearing along the way, someone said the challenging moments are when you can learn the most. So as a parent, when you experience some of these challenges, looking back, what were some of the helpful things you used to get through those as it pertains to this whole kindergarten experience?
I mean, one of the things that I appreciated so much, and again, I would encourage, if something you're comfortable with, being really in touch with your kid's teacher and knowing that they're there as that relationship really is, I felt really supported as a parent, I guess is one way to say it. So I remember emailing the teacher a couple times because you don't always know, if your kid comes home and they're sad about something, it was a hard day, something happened on the playground or something happened at school, or they're down, and they maybe can explain it to you, but maybe not. And, they're in kindergarten. Maybe they told you a very detailed story about what happened, and it's questionable about whether that's really what happened.
Those 5-year-olds.
I mean, so I found it really those days happen for everyone, everyone, whether your kid is killing it and loving kindergarten in general, or whether it is a struggle. Most days, every kid is going to have those days. What I really appreciated was I tried not to jump to assume I understood what the issue was, and instead just sort of did the intake with the kid, and then would reach out to the teacher and just say, "Hey, so here's what I'm hearing. Are you aware of this? Like, is this also do we have the facts right about what the experience is, what's happening here?"
Right.
And without fail, it was such a great back and forth of the teacher either being, "Oh yeah, so here's what happened. Here's here's what," and that's very helpful in working your kid through that. But also, then they're in the know, and they can say, "Oh, I didn't even kids are so funny." I would have a day where someone would come home and seem really down, and I'd ask the teacher if anything happened, and they'd be like, "No, nothing at all."
Yep.
But then they're equipped to reach out and connect and just make sure that they're okay.
When teachers sign, please don't hesitate to reach out on their email. They mean it.
Yes, totally. So, I mean, and 100% of the time, my experience in reaching out to teachers with that kind of like, "Hey, help me be a good parent here," has been really positive and helpful. So I think the message there is, don't feel like you have to problem solve from far away with half of the information.
Or wait till conferences or something like that.
I think when we think about school, we think about grades and learning and everything else. But from your perspective, Ashley, those moments where these kids are so young, like, and the learning and the growth, whether it is through challenges, fostering that environment of helping them grow as humans, I think is something that I think about a lot versus, of course, we want them to learn things and do well, but how are they growing as humans? How do you handle that at Birchview?
Yeah, I think that's how we lead. We lead with that first, right? We want to develop the whole child. Yes, like we want the reading and the math to come, but our ultimate goal is to create great global citizens and who is going to contribute to the world and do things even we don't even know exist yet. And so I think it's really, really important for us to really establish that. And we lean into our relationship with our kids and really try to see what their strengths are and how can we meet them with their strengths to build upon their strengths. And when there are areas that they need support, how do we really dig deep to figure out the root cause versus making an assumption and go at that. I also think it's important to know that this is where kids, they're supposed to make mistakes,
Mhm.
right? And they just developing that growth mindset that none of us are there yet. And I'm not there yet. And I think these guys would agree. We all have things that we can work on, and mistakes will happen. And you'll hear our teachers and our staff saying that a lot. When this happened, what are you going to do? What did you learn from this? And how can you fix it to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? And then walking through that with them. So I think establishing that growth mindset and I think for parents to hear who are listening as well, they will make mistakes.
They will.
As adults, we want to jump in and try and fix it for them. Our job is to guide them through those mistakes versus do it for them. Because naturally, as human beings, that continues to happen as we get older.
I was thinking about that. Like when you're sending your first kid to kindergarten, you always hear that sentiment, like, I'm sending them into the big bad world, And it does feel that way a little, But I thought to myself, but it's not that. It's not the big bad world. It's still it's bigger. It's a big step for them, but it is such a sort of contained, supportive environment.
Right.
So they are stepping out into that next realm of make some mistakes, bump up against some stuff, have experiences that are not comfortable for them always, but also have really positive experiences, but be in an environment where you're still safe and taking care of the risks. These are those low risk opportunities to have those experiences. So it's not really the big bad world.
Right.
For you, Megan, when families are starting this journey, do you notice is there a hurdle that you can see, whether it's a student or these families cross, where it's almost like an exhale or relief for them? Do you ever notice that at all?
Yeah, in terms of relation, the trust could be a hurdle, right? These kids come in and they love talking about their lives at home. And I think it's just overcoming that, your teacher's on your side, we're your teammate. I think that can be a hurdle, and realizing that we're a team, we're working towards the same goal. And I think, like Ashley said, these kids are going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It's a low risk environment, and recognizing that your kid's action that day is not a representation of who they are, and not a representation of maybe who your family is. We're growing together, we're learning together. That can be a hurdle. But yeah, I think as the year moves on, just the level of trust and the relationships that we build as a community and these families, and it's a really beautiful thing in the end. What
about you, Jesse? Was there a moment where you kind of took a step back and you're like, okay, we're doing this. I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah. I think it's very consistent with what Megan described. You just get a sense that the newness has worn off, and one day it just seems like your kid has enough familiar faces, whether it's friends, peers, but also has done the inventory of the adults they're going to see today. Right. And you just get that sense of sort of, okay, even if they're not, look, some kids are not going to run off every morning. They'd rather sleep in and stay home, but that's not the true indicator of that level of trust. And so I really do think that's consistent with something that I've noticed, is that, it just doesn't feel new anymore, and they start to feel comfortable with
And one other thing to add too is not only the trust with the classroom teacher, around all of our schools in Wayzata, and I can speak to Birchview, there's so many trusted adults that their circle just continue to expand throughout the year. I think it starts with the classroom teacher and the paraprofessional who's in that room with them primarily, but then you see they got connected with the deans and the counselors and the family partnership leads.
And not in negative ways either. These people are building relationships because they care.
Right. And so then they come home and they're talking about, hey, mom and dad, I have Mrs. and Mr. So-and-so who are now I also connect with all the time. And that's our job, is we want to create an environment where there are many trusted adults for our kids to be able to be vulnerable when they are in their moments of pride and celebration, or when they're in their vulnerable moments when they're making mistakes, just having a lot of people that they can go to.
We're going to play Mythbusters.
Oh, boy.
There's probably a lot of parents, families out there that have a preconceived notion of what kindergarten is, what school is. So we're going to go around the horn, and I want you to dispel the biggest myth that you can think of when it comes to kindergarten. So I'll let anyone start once you have a good one.
It's so much more than ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Yes. So much more.
Yes.
I think we focus on kindergarten a lot as something that happens to your kid. Like it's something that is your kid is going to kindergarten. This is your kid's experience. And in some ways too, especially with that first kid, there's a little bit of a feeling, there's like a loss feeling, I mean, like that little kid, it's a step forward and it's something to be celebrated, but there's a bit of sadness there or trepidation about what's going on. I think the myth busting I would offer is that it is those things, those are real things, but also it's your family's experience. Your family is stepping into something. Your family is about to gain the school experience and the school community. So, you're not losing your kindergartner who's going off to school, but your whole family is about to step in and become a part of a community. And I know each one of the elementary schools has a really unique community vibe, but especially at that elementary level, it is such a little community to be a part of. Yeah. So I think that's the myth busting, is that a lot of the kindergarten, we have to focus on our kids and their individual transition, but that can lead us to think about it as a very individual experience. But really, your whole family is stepping into something that they're going to be a part of for a long time.
Yeah, my myth is, I think, even from when we were in kindergarten and the kindergarten is now, I think some of the myths is that it's fully just academic, and Megan kind of alluded to this, but it's truly the development of the whole child. And we're spending intentional time, yes, working on the academics, but also going through those things of this is how we show empathy. We are not me thinkers, we're we thinkers, and really modeling that and doing scenarios with them. There is still playtime. We have organized playtime where kids will get to play and do, because they will learn some of those social skills in that setting better than they would in an academic setting. And that's a favorite time of a lot of our kindergartners that happen, and our adults are engaged with them and seeing what's happening and then supporting them through that. Oh, somebody wanted that play block, or somebody wanted to use the kitchen and I wanted to. How do we have that conversation about who gets that turn first? And so I think in this new age, you hear a lot about the academics that happen in kindergarten, but know that the myth is there's much more, and our job is to set that foundation, both on the social emotional side and the academic side, that hopefully will propel them throughout their education careers.
Megan, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh, the hugs.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm a hugger. Yeah. I think the relationships and just, with the parents, with the students, with my coworkers, like this, it's such a special job, and Birchview's a really special place. But the most rewarding part, I mean, it's so fun to see, like when they blend that first word and they're like, oh my gosh, I can read.
I can do that.
Of course, that's so exciting. But I think just seeing their love and enjoyment of school, and you're right, in kindergarten, it's there, it's present. And the most them getting on the bus and saying, I'll see you tomorrow morning, and a big hug, like that is just, or you hear it so often and it sounds silly, but even they'll be sitting at lunch and eating something at lunch and just, this is the best day ever. Yes. Or you're sitting and you're like, okay, we're going to play a math game today. This is the best day ever. And they just like, this is the best day ever for them every day. And like, you don't get that anywhere else.
What about you, Ashley?
Oh, there's so many rewarding parts about this job. Obviously, the kids and all the things that Megan is saying is exciting. But I get to hear from the families, right? Like, I get to hear from the families throughout their experience. And when families say, my kid does feel safe. My kid does feel like their teacher knows them or get them. My kid does know that you know them and get them. That's the parts that really, really get me excited, because it tells me that the work that we're doing is making an impact. Because my goal is, again, we talk at Birchview, like we want every kid, every student, every family to know how much they matter, and to get that feedback of like, they do feel like they matter, and they feel like they can reach out to us anytime they need something. That's really rewarding, because that's the program we're trying to build.
For you, Jesse, it's not a paid job, so to speak, but what's the most rewarding part for you when it comes to helping your kiddos through school? Seeing the flip side of what they just said at home, when you can tell that your kid, I mean, these kids, the kindergarten teachers are like super celebrities in the elementary schools, right? Because all the older kids had them, and the principals, the major celebrities. So, and that's kind of funny, but I think they realize that, and the kids internalize, like when the principal of the school says hi to your kindergartner,
that is a big deal to them. And when, and so I deeply appreciate that. I mean, that is I have such appreciation and gratitude for being so lucky. And I don't think that I think the experience that we have had at Birchview is consistent across the experiences in Wayzata.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
I see these adults who are really caring about my kid, and I can see that how that's showing up in how it feels to my kids to be treated that way. And one of my favorite stories I have to tell is when one of my kids was in kindergarten, I was volunteering in a corner outside.
She gave me this feedback. I like that.
I love it.
I know where she's going already.
But I would want to know this as a parent. So I was sitting in a corner, like cutting paper or something for the kindergarten project. And I was tucked in a corner and probably, not easy to see. So people walking in and out of this area where there are 2 kindergarten classrooms wouldn't have noticed me in the corner. And there's a bunch of lockers and it's a bunch of kindergartners. It's crazy. There's a lot going on, a lot of transitions. So, but eventually things die down and I'm over there cutting paper and I kind of on the other side of this locker bank. So they cannot see me and I can't even see what's happening. But I can hear that there's a student who's really struggling, like something's going on and they are really having a very hard time. And it was just this seamless team of paras who were working together to support this kid and then they were supporting each other because one was working with the student to sort of help them but they needed some help. So the other one just seamlessly, I got you, I'll go get the XYZ. And I just sat there and it really brought me to tears kind of sitting there cutting the construction paper because what I thought of was they don't know that I can hear or see any of this going on. So this isn't a performance to be extra considerate and kind to this student. This is how they are. This is how they treat a kid who's having a really hard time. And all I could think of is I wish I magically could contact this child's parents and just say, I'm sure you, like the rest of us, wonder what it would be like for my kid at school if they're having a hard day.
Mm-hmm.
Like who's going to comfort them or who's going to help them manage or, you just do. That's what you worry about. Even though they're all wonderful at school, you worry. Yeah. And I just thought, this is, no one's watching, no one knows. And they're doing this for this student. And I know that my kid would get the same treatment if they needed it. And it just is, I am so grateful for that. And I always tell that story because I think we all wonder, what happens when we're not there. Right. And it's just a great reflection of they're there because they care and they take it very seriously.
That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So as we close today, I'm going to ask one more question to all of you. And I think there's probably hopefully a lot of the people listening to this that have incoming kindergartners feel better, but there's still a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
I told all of you.
Even for me as a dad, I'm feeling that way too.
Oh, those first day jitters are real.
We're already having our dreams. We're already having our dreams. Yeah. That's what happens all summer. The dreams pick up as we get closer to August.
We're still over a year away. And even preparing for this episode, I was like, oh my gosh, Cameron's a year away from kindergarten. And I was almost like I need to sit down. So if you could tell families one piece of advice as they prepare for starting school a little over a month from now, sending, their little one off to kindergarten, what would be the one piece of advice?
I think for me, it's going to be okay. It will be okay. And my advice would be, let them. I just want to leave it at that. Let them make mistakes. Let them go to the bus by themselves. Let them tie their shoes. Mm-hmm. Let them figure out what they want for lunch, whether they want a home lunch or school lunch. Let them be independent, and it will be okay. And we, together with our partnership, parents and school staff, will help them get through this together. And what I want you to know, all listeners, and no matter which one of the Wayzata schools, you have a team of people who will wrap their arms around your child with your help that will help them be as successful as possible. So let them do what they need.
I like that. Doubt the nitty gritty thing. I loved what you said about building a routine. When you think about starting kindergarten, you want to give them the tools that they need so that they can be independent. So it sounds silly, but practice zipping up your coat, practice putting your folder in your backpack. Mm-hmm. I love all of that. And then, just embrace the school community, embrace the, what you said, your family is joining this this group of people and you're going to be together for the next until 5th grade and beyond. And just embrace that. And yeah, your kid's going to grow a lot this year. So help them give them the tools they need to be their most independent self.
I would say connection reduces concern. So when I think about it, and by connection, I mean, the more you as parents can connect with your school. So, show up to the things that work for your family, like all of the play dates and the kindergarten play dates or whatever your school is offering, the open house. If that works for your family schedule, say yes to those. Email your principal and the teachers and just get that connection going. Something super simple, but it surprises me how much that just sort of makes you feel confident as a parent, which flows into everything you're feeling and doing with your kid. Connect with other families, connect, show up as much as you can. But also, it's not about physically showing up. I mean, you can feel the connection by reading the emails. Actually, shout out for the emails and the communication that come from teachers. Work hard on these, and please keep working hard on them because it's a wonderful way of feeling like you know what's going on in your kid's life, and gives you one little nugget to ask them about, which makes you both feel better.
Right.
I we want to support our kids, but I really think a lot about what as a parent, you just have this well of emotion. How can you help yourself relax? And I think that connection really does reduce your concerns because the more you feel like you know these people at school and you know what's going on, your level of concern kind of lowers down. And I have to do the PTO shout out. I would be remiss.
She's our gal.
I have to. But at all the schools, I mean, this is just a great way. And I think one big myth about that is that there's like one way to get involved. And if you don't seem like I'm not going to meetings and I don't have time for one more thing and blah, that's true for everyone for sure. And there is a way. I mean, just get on your PTA email list. If you do nothing but receive emails, I think you will feel connected. You'll get that information flow. You'll know what's happening at school, and that will help you just feel a part of that community. Even if it's not ever going to work for you to do something, being a part of it will help.
Yes,
that's great.
I love how she phrased that.
Yeah.
That's so good. So this actually wasn't a podcast. This was just a recording for me for a year from now. I'm just going to replay it.
Replay for the next 365
It's going to
days.
be okay. No, I think this was great. Hopefully families that listen to this, they can just exhale, take a deep breath. But I think one thing I also heard was just, it's okay to lean into the emotions too.
Yes.
Like this isn't about, you don't need to be worried. You don't need to be anxious. Like that feels very real. Right. And it's okay for it to be real, but embrace it. And
it's a happy time.
Yeah.
It's a very happy time.
It is.
And it goes so fast. It goes so fast.
In a blink.
So embrace it and enjoy it. Because I have a second grader now, like Jessie does, and then having a kindergarten already, and it's like, whoa, where did that time go? And so how do you embrace those small moments when there's something, then the light bulb does turn on, and celebrate with them? Because time flies. So enjoy every moment.
Ashley, Megan, Jessie, thank you for joining us, and good luck with the start of the school year.
It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. Right, Megan?
Go Bobcats.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.